Evening, everyone. Actually, here from European Location Services again. So, I wasn't planning to go live a fair time today, but while out dog walking a few minutes ago, this idea came to me, so I thought, why not share it? So, you moved to Spain, you find life in Spain great, you find life in Spain different from what you used to in the UK. Well, let's be honest. As part of the reason, sure, you moved to Spain, the different lifestyle, the different pace of life. But that doesn't mean there aren't a few tips and tricks I can share from my experience of living in Spain, working in Spain, moving people to Spain, that can't make your transitioning into Spain easier. After all, Spain's a vast country. Spain is different to the UK, and that's what makes it great. So, to start with, a mistake I have made twice. Once I flunked out, once I wasn't so lucky. Most doors, front doors, outside doors in Spain, lock automatically when you shut them. So remember to have your keys on you before leaving the house, because unlike in the UK, where you have to lock your door before to keep it locked, the Spanish doors will normally, most again, this is my experience, lock automatically. So if you haven't got your keys on you and you've gone outside, you've locked yourself out in that situation, and you're going to need a locksmith to get you back in. So tip one, remember to have your keys on you and check you've got your keys on you before leaving the house, so that you don't accidentally lock yourself out. Tip two, well, this one is very, very useful and very important. In the UK, postcodes are quite small and narrow it down to a few houses. In Spain, postcodes can be 50, 60, 70 square kilometres. So if your house, your villa, your apartment, particularly villas and houses, your casa, is in a rural area, you might not have a street name. So make sure, if you ever need the emergency services, you have your GPS coordinates written down. Because as I say, because Spanish addresses via the postcode are huge, they don't, especially in small areas, towns, they could cover the entire town, its entire municipality. So if you only know your postcode, the ambulance, fire brigade, police, whatever you needed, could take forever to find you. So know your GPS coordinates. Keep them close and handy to your phone in case you ever need emergency services. I believe, because whenever I've heard this tip on Twitter, some people have mentioned what 3 words. I can't confirm or deny whether the Spanish emergency services are set up for that. Related into tip 2, if you ever need the emergency services in Spain, they totally understand that needing them is a stressful situation, and therefore you're not necessarily going to be able to remember Spanish. To that end, Spanish emergency services on 112 is multilingual. I've had to use them twice. We needed an ambulance a while ago, and I can confirm from personal experience the 112 is multilingual, and they will get someone who speaks your language. I can't say what languages they speak, but it's more than just Spanish. I know they'll have English, pretty sure they'll have French, German, etc. Beyond that, but as this is English, the fact they speak English is all that matters to you. Don't, and I repeat this, if you need 112, do not make this mistake. Do not attempt to speak Spanish to them. Because what they'll do is they will just keep whoever operator answers the phone on. And this could take a minute, 2 minutes before they realise you're struggling in Spanish and get an English operator. By this point, you've wasted a minute, 2 minutes of time. So if you ever need 112, especially if you live in the rural areas, keep your GPS coordinates handy. And remember, because it is a stress situation, don't attempt to speak Spanish to them. Just speak your actual native tongue. As soon as they hear whatever language you're speaking, they will get you an operator who speaks that language, who will then go through the same process that they've gone through in Spanish, but in your language, enabling them to get the emergency vehicle you need to you. To that end, I'm pretty sure that the direct numbers that each Spanish emergency service has, 062, I think it is for the National Guard, sorry, not Nationals, Nationals are 90 something. These may or may not have been multilingual, I don't know. The only one I can confirm 100% certain is a multilingual number in Spain is 112. Okay, while we're on the topic of emergency services, not yet are all emergency vehicles in Spain under blues and twos. Some are still on amber beacons. They do have sirens. Unfortunately, this amber beacon colour is the same as recovery vehicles and a few other service vehicles. Some will be amber and blue. They're slowly changing over, but they've still got a bit of time left, so you will see a mixture. So ambulances under ambers. You'll see some fire engines under ambers. You will see some civil protection vehicles under ambers. The only thing you won't see under ambers is police. In Spain, there is 3 main types of police. Policía local, which are the town police. They cover your municipality. That's all they do. They are a full police force. They are not the equivalent to a PCSO. They are a police officer. They have full policing power. They just deal with the more local issues. Anything more serious will be then passed up to either the Guardia, They're the boys and girls you see around in green. The ones with dress uniform have the, I don't know, that's what would appear as strange hats or some. Or the Police National who are in a bluish uniform. There are also some regions, regional police forces that only cover them regions. These include Catalan with the Mosses, Del, I can't pronounce the rest of it. The Basque regions, there's 3 separate ones up there. But the main 3 police forces in Spain. Don't be surprised if you're dropping your child off at school to see a police officer on crossing duty. Most crossing duties in Spain is actually done by the Policia Local. And not done, it isn't because there's a threat to the school, this isn't because anything, it's just a standard duty. The police do crossing duty at schools. Nothing unusual, nothing special. It's just how it is. Right, where were we? So I think that's covered the basic tips I can come up with for emergency services. As I say, remember to keep your GPS coordinates handy. 112 is the main number. Okay. And I'll discuss briefly on the types of Spanish police. Yeah. Don't waste time trying to ring directly through. There's no point trying to use the direct numbers because I can't confirm whether they're multilingual. If you need the emergency services, unless you're fluent Spanish, I can guarantee that you're not going to forget things in Spanish. Just dial directly to 112 if you need them. Okay. Another tip is for Spain. Oh, apologies, excuse me about that. Right. As I said, don't go out without checking your keys and you will lock yourself out. Okay. We've done that. We all know about Spain's siestas. Different states have slightly different times, and Spain is famous for its siestas. Rightly so. Now, that's not because the Spanish are lazy. You want to come out into Spain in the height of summer, you'll see why they take the siestas at about 2 o'clock. It is absolutely sweltering. Some parts of Spain at that time can, in the height of July, August, be hitting 40 to 45 degrees Celsius. You don't really want to work in that. Okay, but that's not really a tip. The tip is related to the temperatures. If you're dog walking, doesn't matter what time of day it is, once you hit spring, check the temperature of the ground with your hand. The palm of your hand, not the back, the palm. If you can't leave your hand there more than 5 seconds, the floor is too hot to walk your dog. Okay? And would burn their pants. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's another one. The website, I will put the link actually in the description. I haven't yet, but I will afterwards when I'm done with this. It has got lots of tips for life in Spain, lots of tips for moving, tips about moving since Brexit, etc. But let's go back to tips on Spain. Please feel free to ask any questions you have. I do apologise, I'm very handsy when I talk. Okay. I forgot what I was going to say, but I will come back to me in a second. Let's see, tips. Oh, yes. Spain's made up of many different areas. These are called communities. They're then broken down into provinces, which are then broken down into municipalities. Andalusia, for example, you've got Almeria province, which is where we are, Malaga province, etc. The reason I mention that is each individual province and community can have slightly different rules, slightly different interpretations of central law, slightly different rules itself. A law that applies in Murcia may not apply in Andalusia, especially during COVID times. Each of the comunidades has slightly different COVID rules, but the Spanish state of alarm is ended on the 9th of May, which is good news. Okay, but yeah, each individual region of Spain has its own sets of rules. Some rules are central, some aren't. But tip for the motorways, if you ever see a motorway, which will say AP, for example, let's use the Autovia Mediterráneo, AP7, also the A7. If it says AP, that means it's peage, which is toll. Spain was doing away with the tolls. It may now be going back towards the tolls. I don't know, depends what source you read, but that's immaterial. Spanish tolls, we don't always take UK debit cards or credit cards. So this is just to do with where UK's mainly Visa, over here is mainly Master, I think it is. Anyway, so they have cash for the tolls. Okay, we have found French ones to set UK cards, but it's a different story. Okay, as just referring back to siesta for a minute. Often in Spain, certain institutions will be not open beyond siesta of the day. In our area, I don't know if this is the same in big cities, I imagine it's not, but in the smaller towns and cities, often the banks are only open till the beginning of the siesta period. That isn't really a problem because most banks now have these auto tellers that can do most anything. But yeah. But I would say, related to siesta, be aware of where you're living in your area's siesta time. Be aware of what services may not then be open in the evenings, in the afternoons, what does not reopen. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, I'm just going to say this again. If you want to ask any questions, pop them in the chat. Which I don't know what side of your screen. On my screen, it's at the side near the ship. Okay, but yeah. Just 1 second. I'm just going to pop open the tips for Spain page on another tab. One moment, please. Yep, just bear with me. UK. The first bit's all one word. / life in Spain. You'll find a lot of the tips I'm discussing here on that page. If you pop to the website, have a nosy around. I'll drop this link in the description after I'm done. But yeah, something I will mention is Spanish road law. It's illegal in Spain to drive in flip-flops. It's illegal in Spain to put your feet on the dash. This includes the passenger. It's illegal in Spain to drive bare-chested. That's male and female. So be familiar with Spanish road laws. There are some laws that are identical to Britain, some laws that are different. But just be aware of them. The same goes for pet laws. There are differences. If you're bringing a pet across, be aware. Certain animals are not allowed. As I recall correctly, Spain doesn't permit snakes to be kept as pets or spiders. I might be wrong. That might have changed. But that's as I say, if I recall correctly. But if you are bringing your pets across, be aware of the local pet laws to where you're living within Spain, because they are, in some aspects, different to the UK. For example, in Andalusia, it's a legal requirement, not recommended, it's a legal requirement that all dogs, cats, and other pets that are microchipped are microchipped. It's also a legal requirement that they receive rabies jabs. So these aren't recommendations, these are requirements. This isn't necessarily a requirement in the UK, where I think the microchip is recommended, they're not compulsory. But in Andalusia, for example, and I imagine this is the same in other parts of Spain, that is compulsory. So be aware when you're moving to Spain of the different traffic laws. Be aware of there are different pet laws. You bring your pets across, big different, as I say. But them differences can be what makes Spain such an enjoyable place. I mean, the siesta is a great example of what makes Spain great in many people's minds. Forget the fact that the siesta exists or doesn't exist. It is an example of the different pace of life Spain lives to. Spain, things get done, they just get done at a different pace. This different pace can be described, and most people who want to move to Spain, this is a good thing, is a more laid-back, relaxed pace. And that's one of the many, many joys in many people's opinions of Spain. You're not rushing around, things are more relaxed, the people are friendlier. I mean, you can walk down the street and we'll say hello to you. Obviously, they'll say it in Spanish, hola, but you know what I'm saying. These differences, the way they do things, can lead to some great aspects. Don't be scared to explore Spain. Don't be scared to practice the Spanish. Don't be like, oh, I might mispronounce this or I might mispronounce that, and then laugh at me. No. Go to in the shops when you're paying or when you need to ask something. Try as much as you can in Spanish. Most of them will appreciate the effort. They will help you, and they'll help you practice, and it will go down well. Okay. I mean, learning a few basic things. I mean, una cerveza, por favor, you're going to need more than just that to get by in Spain, let's be honest. Yeah. Or una cerveza. I'm trying to think of an example. No, I'm just saying about beer, but anyway. Practice your Spanish. I mean, you need to be hola, adios, hasta luego, which is basically see you later. The basic phrases, don't try to learn too much in one go. You will forget more than you learn if you do it that way. Don't be scared to try it with the locals. Don't be scared to practice your Spanish in the shops. I mean, there is so many things. Embrace the culture is a tip I will give you. Learn the culture, embrace the culture, adapt to the culture. You'll find Spain is a very welcoming place. There is a reason so many British people have made their homes here and still want to. I mean, yeah, I've discussed a few tips like don't forget your key because you lock yourself out. And then I've done that twice. Once I was fluky and I happened to have a spare key on me. The other time it wasn't, it cost me 50 euros. Also, you will see a lot of Spanish houses on street level metal bars. This is because Spain has a high crime problem. This is so that you can have your windows open at night. If people hear people referring to your wreckers, that's what they're talking about, they're metal bars. Okay? One thing it is worth noting is if you go dog walking in the campos, which is what the Spanish call countryside, be sure to check them for ticks. There is obviously going to be ticks. That's the same if you go walking in UK countryside, so that's no different. That's just something I thought I'd add in. Okay. Where was I? Please feel free to ask any questions. I'm trying to avoid going off on a tangent. There's so much I can say. I'm trying to avoid also making it into moving tips on moving to Spain in the sense of do this, do that. But yeah. Don't be put off by, I will say this, don't be put off by horror stories. Don't be put off by Brexit. People are still moving to Spain. It's still doable, still achievable. Yes, it's a little bit more complex than it was. You now have to work with different rules. But on that front, I will say, I've met, and I know, and we've done jobs for locally a year or two ago, I think it was now, an Australian. We've met, there are Americans living here. These people were never part of the EU. So it is possible to move to Spain still. It's a little bit more tricky. But if move to Spain is your dream, never be put off. Don't listen to the horror stories in the media, especially the British media. Okay? I don't mean that nastily, I just mean everything's got an agenda. Remember, their agenda won't be necessarily telling how to move to Spain. Do you? I'm trying to avoid that being my agenda, which is my agenda, but I'm trying to do this as balanced and level as possible. Okay? Right. 112, as I say, is the main Spanish emergency number. They're multilingual. Don't forget your keys. If you live in a rural area, make sure you've got your GPS coordinates because they are huge rural areas. The postcode zones are massive. And if the ambulance can't find you and you need them, it could take them a while. And that's a bad idea. Now, I'll discuss a few driving laws. As I say, be familiar with the driving laws. Be familiar with pet laws if you bring your pet. Just going to scroll through some of the tip pages on our website. Just give me some ideas of things I haven't yet covered with you. Just bear with me again, guys. Okay? Yeah. If you've got any questions, put them in. I'd love to answer them if I can. Okay. Something you will notice in Spain, again, this is relating to the different lifestyles. The Spaniards will often, in normal times, this is pre-COVID and after COVID, eat later, go out later. They might not go to 9, 10 o'clock. So what? To them, that's just how it is. Okay. Another thing you may, and this is an observation rather than a tip, don't be surprised if it's some bars, especially if they've got a mainly Spanish clientele, which might sound a strange statement, but there are plenty of bars here that have a mainly Dutch or mainly British or mainly whatever clientele that ain't Spanish. If you find red wine chilled, for some reason, the Spaniards seem to like their red wine chilled, even though it's meant to be drunk at room temperature, according to Sam. Everyone to their own, and that's just a difference. And what does it matter? That's how they like it. That's just an observation. Okay. Okay, everyone, thank you for watching. Hasta luego. Adios. I'm trying to remember how to say it. Oh, yes, buenas tardes, amigos. Bye for now, and have a great evening. Bye again.